Hey, everybody. I have an awesome treat for you today. I have the most amazing woman with me, Jen Fine. She's from YouLi, and she has a retreat management platform. And we have partnered with Jen in the sense that she has put our template into her system so that our retreat blueprint and retreats made easy students and other community members can also take advantage of that. And we have had the most wonderful time working with Jen. She's great. And she, her heart is in with the retreat leaders to make unfolding their retreats and retreat management as easy as possible. And we know that our favorite part of doing the retreats is the delivery, right? When we're on the retreats and we're having the best time. But before that, it's like rounding up your people and getting the information to them and collecting the money on time and legal forms and all the hoo-ha that goes along with running your retreat properly. So that's where Jen comes in and her system, which I really love. So Jen, thank you for being here, with me and our community. And I'm going to turn this over basically to Jen, and she's going to take you through, what is the platform and what does it do? And then at the end, she'll also go over what is the pricing, because they have different levels of pricing. So by the time we're done, you're going to have a pretty good idea of what's going on with YouLi and whether this could be a great match for you or not. So thank you, Jen, for being here, and welcome, and take it away.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sherry. It's great to be here. And I love that we've been working on this for many years. And we've helped a lot of your members launch their sales pages on the YouLi platform. So it's just been amazing to see this sort of partnership flourish from like an idea many years ago to actually this full community now. And so I'm just going to share my screen and kind of talk you through some of the things that we do for the Wanderlust Entrepreneur Retreat community. So as Sherry mentioned, we run the platform. So it's the YouLi platform, but it is specifically for the Wanderlust Entrepreneur community. So we've created a version that's tailored for you and for what you guys are creating when you're launching your retreats and your sales pages. So you're going to come to a page like this, and if you've already got an account, you can log in or you can click to sign up, and you'll be prompted to pick a plan, which we'll talk about at the end. But once you've chosen which level you want to engage with, you kind of land here and you'll have some sample sort of retreat sales pages. So we have the real retreat, the like in-person version. We also have an example where you can kind of do an online course or sort of virtual retreat template if you're interested in exploring that as well. We're going to focus on the in-person retreat example. And so everybody gets a copy of Sherry's Pyramids of Mexico example. So that's all her content. So that's just for reference, just so you can kind of know how to do this. But you can either edit that template and just replace it all with your own content just by clicking into it, and you can edit that and sort of replace each one. I've got some fake travelers on here. So you can kind of go into the itinerary and modify all of that one by one, or you can just make your own new trip from scratch. So you just create your sales page from scratch there. And what you're going to be creating is a sales page. So here's an example of a sales page. This is the sample Pyramids of Mexico retreat example, where it's called Journey Investment, Contact Us. This one also links off to Facebook. So you get to choose, which of these you include. But this is what's on by default when you're creating it. And then you can kind of scroll through and see these beautiful images and the content. And this is all covered, Sherry, in your course, right? The sort of understanding of how to do this. Because I know a lot of people come to us and say, well, what do I put in it? And I go, well, we're the tech platform. So we make sure that this button works. We make sure it's up 24/7. We make sure your payments go through. We make sure the data is safe. That's what we do. We don't do content. We don't advise on imagery. We don't advise on content. That's what Sherry does. So
Thank you, Jen.
yes. So if you haven't already taken her course, strongly recommend that you take the course if you don't know what to put here, because she is the master of explaining what it takes to create the content that will help you fill your retreats. So this is an example that you will get a copy of. So you get to work from this template. Now, just as a comparison, here's the version that's sitting on Sherry's website. So this is the actual trip that we took as a baseline when we built this, is this page. And so you can see there's a lot more links across the top. There's actually words on top of the graphic here. And I do want to point out, you can absolutely do that, but you will have to do that like in Canva. Like you can create a banner image that has words on it by all means, but we don't do that within the YouLi platform. You'll just have to kind of create that in Canva and then upload that image into YouLi. And then you'll see there's a few other variations between the version that's on Sherry's website versus the one that's the template, because this is custom, right? So this was built by Teresa, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, Teresa Kibler, and it uses WordPress. So obviously there's different abilities.
Yeah, and so there's pluses and minuses to having a custom sales page created. And so if you feel really strongly that you need to build your own, then absolutely connect with Teresa or your own web developer to create your own pages. But you know, Sherry, do you feel like when you're just getting started doing first retreat, do you feel like it's really essential that you have complete custom control over every element of the page? Or do you feel like
The most important thing is that you speak to your ideal client, that you qualify them right away, that you put them into the experience of the retreat. And this is what our template reflects. The bells and whistles and being able to put text box on top of a picture, or having, you know, certain setups or things floating on the page. Yes, it's lovely. Is it going to make the difference in your conversion rate? I doubt it. What makes the biggest difference in the conversion rate is that you have all the information on that page that they need to make an informed decision that this retreat is for them, and also that it builds value so they don't question the price. So those aspects are in the YouLi template just fine. It's just, if you need to make it super, super duper creatively pretty, bells and whistles, things moving around the page, then yes, you would want to do that on your own. And you can still do that and use YouLi for the
That's
back end part
correct.
of the retreat. So it isn't like, you know, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not building my sales page on YouLi, I can't use YouLi, because that is not true. And Jen will explain this.
Yeah, wonderful. So that's a good lead into the different kind of bookings modes that you can use. So when you are taking payments on your sales page, you actually have 3 different choices. So register to pay means they view your sales page, they can then express interest, then they can choose to make a payment. So you kind of create a few different touch points, and that allows you to do like an abandoned cart situation. They can register interest, maybe they don't pay a deposit, but then you can follow up. So that's really good if you want to have a high touch funnel. So you want to collect them even if they're not quite ready to put down that 500, but you still want their contact info. That's when we recommend register to pay. But if you are using an external sales page, so you're paying Teresa or someone else to build that very fancy, you know, lots of animation page for you, but then when they click the button, you want them to actually land into the YouLi platform so that we can handle all the payments and the forms and the task management and all that good stuff. That's when you use what we call the checkout flow. And then you click into share trip link and you copy your public link. And then you pop this up into the browser and you can see You put that as the sort of book now button from your sales page, and they land here and they're immediately checking out. And then they can choose between the packages that you've defined. They complete your form. This one's a really simple one. You can make these custom, so you can do dietary requirements and all sorts of information. You can define your own add-ons. So if you want to have extras like an extension or a massage or any kind of add-on, and then you can offer them a payment plan. So this is all the stuff that YouLi does, right? This is all of the automation that you don't have to worry about chasing them for their first installment or their balance. Once you've got them in the system paying the deposit, YouLi does the chasing for you for that installment plan. We actually have a really exciting new plan coming out next month, which is dynamic based on when they book. So stay tuned for that as well.
Awesome. I love it.
They can also pay in full, and you can give them some choices between credit card and things like that. And you can make sure that they accept your cancellation and terms and conditions. Very important. I know Sherry covers the legal side of things. You need to make sure they understand very clearly what they're opting into. So this is a great way of sort of doing the best of both worlds. If you want to do an external sales page and still have the power of the sort of like the back end and automation sides of YouLi. And then going further with that, the third option you have on the bookings mode is actually the blend. So you can still use the YouLi sales page and still use the checkout flow. And so you can actually have them land on the sales page. And instead of having it external, you have it on the YouLi page. And then I'm just going to jump to that one. And so then it shows you the sales page. And then when they click sign me up, it takes them to this checkout flow.
Easy peasy.
So the advantage of this is you don't get people who aren't ready to book. So if you don't want to spend time chasing people who just put their email address in but weren't ready to put $500 down, then I recommend this approach, because then you don't clutter your trip CRM with people who just thought it was neat but don't actually have the money. So this is a really nice way, especially if you've done everything that Sherry tells you about building your audience. That way you are only focusing on the people who have the money and are ready to commit to your retreat. So we love the checkout flow, and it is now one of our defaults. And actually, Sherry, that's news. We launched with you before we had checkout flow. So this is a new way of working that has become very popular.
Yes.
So that's one thing to think about, is like the payments is obviously one of the most important aspects of the YouLi platform, is that you get to keep track of like who's done the payments, how much money is still coming in, how much money has been paid. This person is booked but still owes $1,800. This person has registered, expressed their interest, but hasn't booked yet. So you can engage with them in different ways based on that. And you can also give them customized prices, change their packages. You can do all this stuff from the back end. So really powerful capabilities for, really not a lot of money, especially compared to kind of custom building these pages yourself. So this is kind of a really basic introduction. And, I think there's so much power to what the platform can do for you. And I think sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming, which is one of the reasons why we offer monthly. We do onboarding calls for all Wanderlust Entrepreneur members. And whether you've done it before and forgotten, or you're brand new, you can attend as many times as you like. These are live and they are monthly. So just click here to register for the next one that's coming up. Or you can just pop in and watch one of the ones that we recorded from the past. So you can really dig into, like if all of what I just said went over your head, that's fine. Jump onto our onboarding session and ask your questions. One of our team will very patiently explain it, and no shame. We're here to help you launch your first sales page. There are only good questions on the onboarding calls.
Absolutely. And it's nice because sometimes you are a little confused and not used to the platform, and you've got a real human to ask a question of. So this is just such an amazing bonus to getting the platform.
And of course, if you do just have a specific question and you can't find it, so, maybe you're looking for, how do I customize my registration form? Then, there's an article for that. So that's great. But if you don't find an article for it, you can click to open a ticket and then just fill that out. And our team will get back to you to help you resolve whatever question that you have there. And so these are some good ways to make sure that you make the most of the platform. But that's sort of like the technical side of it, which I love to talk about. But I know that what can be really difficult for people is knowing where to start. And I think sometimes it's good to be inspired by what other people have done in the past. So you also get access when you're logged in to the retreat community. And so you can take a look at the directory here, and you can publish your own profile, and you can be inspired by checking the Has Upcoming Trips box to see who's already created trips. So here's some examples from Go Naked Travels. So Nick's been around for quite some time. He's very successful. So always love to give his examples since his retreats are pretty much always sold out. So
I love him so much.
So here's an example. So he uses slightly different terminology. He's got his own amazing logo, which is beautiful. He actually uses, I think he does AI generated images is how he kind of makes his graphics. And then you can see he's using Sherry's sales page template. So you can see like one of the aspects of this is like he's got a long photo. So he's got long text, right? So he matches his content, and that's something that takes work, right? Like that doesn't just happen.
Yeah, he does such a beautiful job, and he's been using the platform for a while, so now he's used to it. And every time he has a new trip, he just changes out the pictures and updates the text, and he's good to go.
Exactly. And so that's another beautiful thing about the YouLi platform is that you can just copy your last year's retreat, swap out your images, or if it's the same itinerary with a few little tweaks, you just make those little tweaks, change the dates, the platform updates all your dates, and you're good to launch it again for the next quarter, year, whatever time period. And so you can see, so there you go. He's sold out.
Always selling out.
So yeah, and that's the other thing that YouLi does is actually manages inventory for you. So if you do have a limited number, and so he does it based on bedrooms because he has very sort of exclusive retreats. So he only has 6 bedrooms on this retreat, and we make sure that he can push that out. And then once all the rooms are sold out, they're all sold out, and he doesn't have to worry that someone like thinks that they're getting the room and it's not available. So we make sure that he can push that out to his mailing list, and he knows he's not going to get oversold on his packages. So that's something that we take care of for him. And you saw that he uses what I was describing, the sales page that leads to checkout flow. So that's where it's the YouLi hosted sales page combined with the checkout flow. So that's a good showcase of that one. I also wanted to showcase an example. This is a company who's been operating for over 10 years, and they run a huge number of retreats. So this is an example when you decide to kind of get to scale, you can actually embed your YouLi trips on your website, and you can actually have those linked like that. So then they automatically appear on your website, and you can even go to the point where it's hosted on your own domain. So this is a very advanced level. Not everybody's going to get there. Not everybody needs that. But in case you do value your own domain or something like that, you can absolutely contact us to understand how you can kind of take your brand to that next level. But ultimately, it's about how you use the template. So here's an example where they've actually created these like little infographic-y kind of things. And instead of a photo, they use this kind of graphic, and they put testimonials into their content. So it's not built into the template, but it's something that was important to them. And so they made space for it in the template. So definitely embrace the creative side when you're sort of thinking about how to make your sales page pop, and take a look at what other people are doing to be inspired by them. And Sherry, I think you also encourage people to kind of share in the community to get feedback on these as well. Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry about that, Jen.
It's okay.
For students who are in Retreat Blueprint and Retreats Made Easy, what we always recommend is that they lay out their whole retreat page in a Word document with the pictures. Let us check it. And that way, before they go in there and have to move things around, or if they go to Teresa for a custom page, because every time, like with a webmaster, you make changes, you pay for that time. So it's really nice when we can check that and make sure your page is good to go. And once it's on the platform or on WordPress or wherever you're putting it, we give it one more look to make sure everything looks good to go. For our general community members who are not part of the program, you know, they are welcome to post in our main Facebook group and say, I would really appreciate it if folks could look at this page and tell me, is it okay? Is it clear? Does it make sense? What changes I need to be made? And they can make use of the community. But for people who are course members, we will give them detailed feedback on there.
Yeah, nice.
Or before they publish it and then after.
Yeah, and this is a good reminder that this is a creative process. So no creative process is instantaneous, right? You're going to go through iterations and you're going to edit this and juggle this and learn about this. And so you're going to like learn all of these pieces, and you're going to go, you know, if you're in the course, you're going to get really detailed handholding. If you're in a community, you're going to share it with people and get feedback. We recommend, you know, you probably have people in your retreat audience that you trust, and you can maybe get some feedback from them before you launch it broadly. Don't be afraid to just try things out. Like, you know, you can make a sample trip. So you can create one and just play around and call it My Messy Retreat template, right? Where you're just trying stuff out, and don't be afraid to break it, right? You know, sure, once you've launched it, like be careful not to like change the URL, because then the link will break. But you know, other than that, like you can't break this. So just play and go through a fun process of creativity is my recommendation. And be okay, because with play sometimes you fall down and maybe skin your knee, and then you get back up and you know, oops, that wasn't the right image, I'll put a better image in there, right? It's okay. These are okay things. And you know, the folks that we're showcasing here, like, you know, they didn't figure this out overnight. These are, you know, they've been working on this for years and years and years. So just remember that it's a process to get to the point where you have a consistent brand, or you know what language, like I love this, sweet, book my room, right? Like finding your brand voice takes some time, right?
Yes, absolutely. I actually think that the way that YouLi works on the back end is so helpful, because it really addresses so many of the issues that retreat leaders, you know, get caught up on. It makes it so much easier. Like just that alone, book travel insurance, download travel app, like different things that make it easy for people to run their retreat. And of course, as you go up at different levels of YouLi, you can get different other things added to the capabilities of the program. So Jen will go over that so you guys can see. But you know, like if I was starting my first retreat, I might start out with the more basic package. And once I get the hang of it, I'm like, okay, now I get this. I would love to have
Mm.
these extra, bells and whistles put in. And I think it really makes a big difference.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things to sort of think about is like the forms that you need. So this is where you can do encouraging people to book travel insurance, and you can put your own affiliate links in here. But you can also change it to be like, give me your passport information because I'll need that to book your hotels. You can ask them any kind of question that you want, like a yes, no question. Have you traveled with us before? And you can even completely custom build your own form and just add any kind of field that you want. So you can create very, very rich forms, or you can keep it really, really simple. So that's the kind of stuff that we cover in the onboarding as well, and that we have a lot of help documentation on. And so to understand what you get in the different plans, in terms of like how many of those forms do you get, how many retreats do you get, things like that. So you can see this pricing comparison, and there's a little summary when you sign up, but this is the more detailed version of it. And so for just $60 a year, so it's super cost effective to get started. And then there is a 3% booking fee on top of gateway fees. So we do actually recommend you start here and kind of move into Power Up when you're ready to like really get out there, but we understand sometimes that commitment feels a little scary. So you can basically make that trade-off between paying when you get paid versus kind of paying up front and lowering your booking
And
fees. So that's kind of your big choice.
one thing I tell people is if they're going to use YouLi, all right, and they're going to put the $60 down, paid annually, they just put that as a line item divided by the number of people they have in their pricing structure. You know how we have a spreadsheet, the proprietary spreadsheet in our program. And they just put that in there. If they have 6 people, all they have to do is add another $10 on the trip per person. Like the $60 is like, even the 120, it's like really a no-brainer because you're putting it into the pricing. You're not paying for it. Your clients are paying for
That's right. Yeah,
it. It-
exactly. And even these fees, you can pass these on at the time of booking. So,
Yes, you absolutely
you know,
can do that. You can include them in the pricing. So
mhm.
there's so much leeway with this, Jen. I just love how you did this.
You. Yeah, and so these plans we made together with Sherry to sort of address the fact that it can be hard to get started, and that's why we've got these really low entry points. And and this kind of covers all the capabilities here. So you get only 2 pricing packages per trip when you're just getting started, and you get up to 4 packages per trip. You saw with Go Naked Events, he had, I think, 6 rooms, for example, so that was 6 packages. So you do need to be up on the pro plan to kind of get to that level, but most people who are doing retreats their first time out, 2 is more than enough to get started. So
They
it's,
have
it's
singles and doubles.
right, exactly.
Like,
Yeah, singles and doubles. And so but that's what the packages are, so that's what the difference is in terms of those levels. And then, so white label domain, I've kind of mentioned, that's a sort of an advanced element that comes into play when you kind of come into the more professional plans, but it's not important. If you're running 1 retreat a year or 2 retreats a year, I don't actually think it's that important. I think, you start running 10 a year and beyond, okay, invest in the white label domain. But when you're just getting started, it doesn't matter that your customers are not looking at the domain.
no,
It's
they're not.
not their design. It's not the process that they're going through there. And then just in terms of how many retreats, if you're running 1 a year, you're just getting started, you're running 2, you're running 3. So it's just kind of, to understand where you're at. That's the 3 different levels that we're offering. And then once you start kind of getting beyond that, that's when you want to start looking into those professional plans. So there's tons of other stuff in here, and feel free to kind of go through all of these details. As you can see, we do a lot of things. One of the very important things is we don't hold your money.
Thank God, because we
Really
know there
important.
is another company out there that also, and I'm not naming names, but they keep your money and it's caused quite a number of problems for some retreat leaders that had no access to any of the money that came in from their trip, and that was really problematic. So this is
Yep.
also why I partnered with Jen on this, because I don't like that at all. So,
Exactly. And it's your money. So, we understand you're running your business. You decide how to manage those finances. We are the software platform that connects all these pieces together securely for you. We don't hold your money. We don't hold customer credit card data. We connect through to Stripe or Square are the ones that are included in these plans. We do also have PayPal if you're outside of Stripe and Square territories, and then some other gateways as well if you kind of get more professional. And then we also have the ability for your customers to save cards on Stripe so they can come back in and very easily click to pay. So yeah, this is a really, really important aspect of it. Of course, it does mean it is your reputation. So if you don't already have a Stripe account, there's an onboarding process there, or if you don't already have a Square account. So there is a little bit of extra, like I think there's an extra form that you have to fill out to make that set up. But then your reputation and it's your relationship with Stripe, with the payment gateway directly, and you don't have to worry about whether or not we think your retreats need the money held or not like that. So definitely take advantage of that aspect of it. And then the other huge thing that we do is, of course, the group relationship management. So tasks and custom forms and the trip CRM. So you can actually see who's going on this retreat. And so I kind of showed you that really quickly
yes, and you
before.
can send your emails to them from this system. It is all in
right.
one spot. It's so
Mhm.
much easier.
Yeah, so you get to choose to send individual messages, and then YouLi actually sends automated messages to people based on what you configure. So if you have payment reminders on, if you have task reminders on, we send those automatically according to that schedule. And then you can come in and send messages to people based on their status. You can kind of filter based on whether or not they're booked or registered, or even based on the package. So maybe you need to message the people who are booked into the luxury room. Okay, great. I can change that because nobody's booked onto it yet. Whew, great. But if somebody had already booked into the luxury room, you would need to contact them before maybe you made some changes to that. So just this, it's not a full CRM for your business. It's just a trip CRM, which is perfect when you're running a few retreats a year.
Jen, can you go back to the pricing comparison for a minute? I just want to explain something to people, and if you can scroll all the way back up,
Mm-hmm.
would be good. So I just want to make clear, like, when you use PayPal, for example, or those things, it's gonna take money away from you anyway. So like Stripe
Mm-hmm.
or Square, any of those things, those are, I think, better programs if you can. If you don't have money to lay out, like if you look at Jen's starter plan, it's $60. And like I said, if you had 6 people that you had as a minimum on your trip and you put $10 in per person, yes, there's a 3% booking fee, but you can even have the people pay that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like makes it so that you really look like if you have no money and you're really getting started, it's a great way to do it. And then you see as you move up, yes, you're paying a little more out front, but the booking
Mm.
fee becomes a lot less. So
Yeah.
like actually the power up is such a great plan because again, if you had like 10 people on your retreat, you actually could put $24 in per person, cover that, and then YouLi is only taking a 1% booking fee. So play around with this based on how many people you think are coming to your retreat and what you're doing, because like you can, if you say, wow, that 3% booking fee is a lot. Yeah, you could drop it down to 1%, just put $24 in per person. You got 10 people, and then you'll
Yeah.
only be paying 1%. So there's so many ways you can play around with this. And of course, you can start with the starter, and if you really love it, you can upgrade. It's like
Yeah.
not a problem. So we did this, Jen and I, to make it as easy, even if you didn't have a lot of cash, like let's say you can't afford to pay a webmaster to do a trip page for you.
Mm.
Seriously, for $60 that you can put into the pricing, I mean,
Yeah.
you've got a sales page, you've got a booking engine in the back, you've got a CRM, client management system for the people on the trip. It's like,
Mm.
if you really think about it in this way, it's really quite brilliant. So you could play around with it however you want. And as Jen said, some of the people who were doing like 10 trips a year, yeah, it makes sense for them to go pro. And think about that. You think 660 is a lot of money, but actually, if you spread it over, let's say you were doing 3 trips in a year or 4 trips in a year, and you had
Mhm.
10 people on each of those trips,
Yeah.
you'd be
That's great.
dividing 660 by 40
40.
people.
Yeah.
It's like you're hardly adding anything in the trip, and then again, you're only getting a 1% booking fee, and you're getting everything, like the custom URL, you're getting all the other bells and whistles she puts in on the pro. It's like, from my point of view, it really is a no-brainer when you really think of it that way. But yeah, if you're struggling to get your first retreat done, yeah, you've got the starter, and I think it's fantastic. So thank you, Jen, for doing this for us, because I really appreciate
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and we love to help people get started with technology, and that's something that was part of my passion with starting YouLi, was to make it more accessible to access really powerful software, so that instead of finding a developer that maybe doesn't have your best interests at heart and maybe charges you a whole bunch of money, and then you don't get exactly what you want, and then you have to redo it, and all of a sudden $660 is like nothing once,
it.
for any of you who've had those bad experiences where, you've maybe picked the wrong service provider there, obviously not Teresa. But, sometimes that can happen. And we just felt like, no, we want to make it so that you can focus on what you want to do. You don't want to be building custom web pages. You want to be running retreats, right? And that's why we offer these plans, so that you can get going, set up your sales pages, and just, focus on serving your community, right? So, yeah.
I love Nick's pages. They're just so great. Well, listen, guys, if you really want to try out YouLi, you can do that. I have the link to get in there and sign up, and you can start out with the lowest one if you want, and then you can always upgrade. You can come into those calls that Jen's teaching
Hmm.
on a regular basis, which is fantastic. So you can ask questions live. I mean,
Hmm.
it's like, seriously, I don't know how you could possibly make this much better. So,
And you actually get 30 days to trial it. So when you do sign up, you do need to pick a plan. So you do need to pick one. But you get 30 days, and if you cancel before the end of the trial, then yeah, you played around and you explored it, and we've also had people who've come in, played around, and then realized they weren't ready, and then they came back 4 months later because they weren't ready yet. So we're here. So whenever you're ready to get going, we'll be here to help you launch your sales page. So
you,
yeah.
Jen, so much. This is just so clear, and I really, really appreciate it. And again, if you sign up, I encourage you to come on to one of those live calls. Because one of the things that's been happening, at least in our Retreat Blueprint and Retreats Made Easy program, a lot of people are asking us questions. Well, I'm not a YouLi expert. YouLi is the YouLi expert. So if you've got Q's, they've got the A's, and just, either start a ticket or come on one of the live calls, and you'll get your questions answered. And so no problem with that. So please don't ask me all those really complicated questions, because I can't answer them for you. But Jen and her team can.
Yes.
And that's what they're there for. And they want to help you. And they want you to love the program, because that's how, they're successful. So they don't want you to be frustrated or unable to do what it is that you want to do. So please don't be afraid to ask questions. And that's
exactly. Don't be afraid to ask questions. There's even a chat within the platform. So there's like a little bubble, like when you're logged in. So, start the conversation there. And yeah, and so to follow on from Sherry's comments, don't ask her questions about, connecting payment gateways. That's us. But don't ask us what images to put where on your page, right? So we're going to send you back to Sherry and the community there, because she really knows what it takes, the art and the business structure around creating successful retreats. And we're here to take the technology out of that equation for you. So yeah, I think it's a great partnership, and we've seen some really amazing people come through. So yeah, lovely to join today, and I look forward to seeing many more of you on the platform.
Thank you, Jen.